The National Council of Provinces will hold a hybrid plenary for the policy debate on Budget Vote 17, focusing on higher education this afternoon. The session starts at 2 o'clock. It comes in the wake of the DA laying a charge against the Minister, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, just this morning. Let's bring in Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. He's a political analyst at Nelson Mandela University. Prof, always good to talk to you. Budget votes are no longer just a rubber stamping session, are they?
No, of course not. You know, this is very interesting, given the fact that there have been a number of political developments of late, starting with the fallout between the ANC and the DA. We've seen them over the weekend crossing swords. And interestingly, the DA said that they're not going to vote for the budget of the minister in question. I mean, you are well aware that this morning, I think they laid a charge against the minister for lying in a parliament under oath. So it's quite interesting how these set of issues are going to play themselves out.
Professor Breakfast, you know, there's obviously, there are different takes on the issue of Andrew Whitfield. Rightfully, the DA has its take. Rightfully, the ANC and other parties have their take, even though they're in a government of national unity. But as an analyst from the outside, what's your take on how President Cyril Ramaphosa handled the issue of Andrew Whitfield, the Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, taking an unsanctioned trip to the US versus other ministers who have faced really serious allegations, including that of corruption, who remain in cabinet and are, most often cases, slapped on the wrist, even moved portfolios?
Yeah, I think what is source for the goose is source for the gander, that what you apply on the left-hand side in the same way must also apply to the right-hand side. You can't have double standards. And also, I mean, if someone writes to you, if you are my subordinate, you write to me as a line manager, you expect me to respond to you on time, even though I might turn down your application or whatever. So I think that the president didn't do himself and the country any good by not responding to the request. But also at the same time, the DA, I think, also could have handled this matter better than the toys that they've thrown around, that they are going to pull out from the national dialogue, and you know, they might institute a motion of no confidence against the president.
How do we weigh up what's worse, Professor Breakfast? Taking an unsanctioned trip, misrepresenting the facts in Parliament, as the Higher Education Minister is accused of doing insofar as seated board chairpersons are concerned, being implicated in VBS-linked corruption. What's worse here on the scales of 1 to 10?
Two wrongs don't make a right. You know, you cannot correct wrong with wrong. But I think a principle must be applied across the board, because I think one of the reasons, I mean, I know the DA has been saying that the minister has to go before the fallout broke out between the DA and the ANC. But at the same time, I think, I mean, a principle has to be applied across the board. But also the DA of late, with regard to this matter, has been taking a strategic advantage in terms of mounting pressure and also exposing these double standards which are applied by the head of state to his team.
Right. So what now for the future of the government of national unity? Can we be in a coalition government when I am actively voting against your budgets and doing all sorts of other things like pulling out of the national dialogue, for example?
No, I think that is unreasonable, but there's nothing peculiar about the South African phenomenon. You know, everywhere on a global scale, you have these moments of madness, because you're talking about political parties which are drawn across the political spectrum. So there will be these clashes, but the most important thing is how they manage them. But I don't think this conflict was managed well, and I don't think that not voting for the budget is going to help in de-escalating the magnitude of this conflict. But in the final analysis, My prediction is that the GNU is not going to fall apart. None of these coalition partners are going to walk out of the GNU. I think they're going to find each other, because the GNU, we must bear in mind, that was not a brainchild of either the ANC or the DA. I think it came from the business community. Those are the funders also of these political parties. But I think the worst part of it is that ANC and the DA have been the worst ill-disciplined coalition partners. And that is quite sad, because how do they expect other, so-called junior coalition partners to look up to them?